To the North American LCS, you're getting a look at how our friends in Washington, D.C. are sharing today's action. They've grouped up at Public Tenley and are enjoying the action from that last match, as it was a very exciting one, and I'm sure they'll enjoy this next one as well. Let's get back to business with that matchup, Team Dignitas versus Team Liquid. And if you couldn't tell from Kiwi Kid hugging Riv in his post-game interview yesterday, Dignitas is riding high after that win.
It was an extremely important morale boost for this team because right now they definitely need it because they're looking for that 8th place spot. With Winter Fox's win, Dignitas have to win to keep pace and force a tiebreaker. So they had to go 2-0 to get that. So I loved their draft yesterday, though. They drafted really well. They had multiple tanks, and they formed this great tank line. Gamsu had a great performance in the top lane, and Katarina for Shifter was one of his best champions that we've seen him on this split. The fact that he had a little bit of hesitance at the start of the game did not bode too well, but he got this surge of confidence when he's like, oh, there's so many tanks. They're going to focus them first. They can soak. I can jump in afterwards.
All right, and while one team was riding an emotional high, spirits look to be at an all-time low for Team Liquid after their loss to Winter Fox.
Yeah, I mean, a string of losses like the string that Team Liquid have just gone through can really, really upset a team. I mean, it really makes you start looking to change things that you don't even have to change. You're losing for one reason, but because you keep on losing over and over, you start to second guess every aspect of your game, and then you start to make changes to things that were not broken in the first place. And it's really, really hard to remember what made you successful in the first place and what got you here, but that's what Team Liquid need to do.
Yeah, and even talking about their losing streaks, they've been under a lot of pressure all season. This is the most pressure that they're going to be under this season. This is the most that they have been under up until this point. Playoffs are on the line. They have to win here to force a tiebreaker. They have to go 2-0 as well today to get into the playoffs, to get that 6th place spot. So these are must-win games, as Dominate would say. And both these teams actually have to win to force tiebreakers to go up further in the standings. So both teams are really going to come out swinging.
All right, well, we do apparently have a slight issue with Xpecial's mouse. So that does give us an opportunity to look a little bit deeper into this game itself and how it might play out. Now, the last time these two teams met up, Dignitas was able to come away with the win. And so, again, just in terms of adding to the pressure there that you mentioned, Zyrene, knowing that you faced this team once before and it didn't turn out so well for you.
I don't know how much it actually means for them because they had a great swing yesterday because they were talking about how their team comp was so good that they had these tanks, that they were making it into the late game effectively. Azingi playing Zac and having those initiates as well as having Gamsu in the top lane. So I think that the fact that they won last time is pretty big for them, but I don't think it's as big as the win yesterday and that momentum coming in.
Now, we've seen Azingi play Zac both games week 8. Again yesterday, possible ban just to get him off something that he seems to be pretty comfortable on in this tank meta?
I don't think it's necessarily needed a target ban. I think the biggest thing coming into this match is that the difference yesterday between these two teams was huge in the overall team composition. So Dignitas, they had a magnificent pick and ban yesterday, which we have not seen from them very often, to be honest. They had a really good Katarina team versus a team with no point-and-click lockdown. So it was like the perfect storm for Shifter's Katarina to come out and shine, and they jumped on it. And, they had the great front line that included Zac and Sion in that, but it was really, sort of specific to that lineup. Whereas Team Liquid, they really did look lost as far as their pick bans. Just a couple early picks, and they already looked thrown off. The team that they were able to come together with didn't have very many options or really win conditions that they were looking for besides just smashing face early and winning all lanes.
They seem to be struggling with identity in their team compositions. You look even at just Phoenix's pool, right? They pulled out that Vladimir. Interesting pick. But Ari the game before, Cassio, Lulu, Zed prior, so they're really swapping him out, putting him on, and those aren't all the same play style, right? Lulu and Zed very different. Cassio a little bit, different play style. So it doesn't seem like they, as a team, have an idea of the direction that they need to go comp-wise to be successful.
Yeah, my featured matchup for this is actually the coaches and that drafting phase, because I want to look at both of them and see who comes out with the better team. Because Dignitas, yesterday they had a really good one. Liquid had a really bad one, really, really bad. It looked like somebody had been like, all right, let's throw some champions out there, let's pick them randomly off a dartboard, and boom. But that's the thing that I'm worried about is this drafting phase for Liquid, because they have not looked on point for the last couple of weeks with that, as well as playing to their win conditions when they do draft a comp.
It looks like we're actually going to be swapping out the PC there for X Special, so just a little while longer. Unfortunately, still a mouse issue, but maybe an entirely new PC will fix that for him. Need to have the peripherals working in order to play the game. Very integral part. The other thing too, if we're going to stay on the train of champion select and the compositions. Kiwi Kid, he picked up his Annie yesterday, got that back, and we know he's very comfortable on that champion. It allows him to be the engager for the team, when need be. Gives him a little bit of direction when it comes to having a very clear leader, which I think is something that, given the number of people that have rotated through this roster, having that constant in a leader is very important.
That's definitely a really big boon for them. They definitely need a clear direction, specifically for Kiwi Kid. This guy, he's had such high highs and such low lows. When he's roaming around and making good plays, then everybody's got nothing but good things to say about Kiwi Kid. But he does fall into the trap sometimes of reaching for that so aggressively that he gets caught out, and he costs the team a lot of early deaths. And that's when people start to pile on him.
Yeah, he can free up the team or he can restrict them, because those roams are extremely brave through no vision most of the time. He might run into a jungler randomly. Like, the fact that he's going for them, though, I mean, go for the gold, man.
Well, and then let's talk about, too, moving beyond this game. With the Liquid win, right, they're going to have the opportunity to play tiebreakers against one of the teams from Team 8, Gravity, right? And that puts them into the playoffs. So, again, this is another example of a team that's going to have to play more than once today. And you got to wonder if that preparation for 2 games is going to cost them here, especially when you're talking about the fact that they struggle in the pick bans. Prepping for 2 games and having very distinct game plans going on is obviously a greater task than prepping for 1.
I know, Kobe. You don't get to laugh because your Cho'Gath analysis earlier is about that level. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a big thing there, and we have to keep an eye on that if they do play a second game, because the fact that they'd be like, well, do we just run the same comp again? No, you have to tailor it to your opponents. You have to tailor your bans specifically. And so it's definitely a task that I'm pretty sure they'd be up to, but I mean, we've seen stranger things right now.
Right, 2 or 3 minutes left, we're being told, getting that computer swapped out.
Got any more Cho'Gath?
Yeah, last minute thoughts, analysis on Cho'Gath that you'd like to go after there, Kobe?
Well, I have one more sort of unanswered question about the Cho'Gath. Is, the middle set of appendages, would you classify them as arms or legs? Because he's got dedicated legs.
Right.
I think legs are what you walk on. What makes
the middle
contact
one's
with the
there
ground.
just hanging. He never does anything with
Yeah,
it.
So here's the thing.
You can seriously ask me this question.
I know, and now I'm going to try and answer it for you. Okay, so you as a human being have the option to walk on your hands, right?
They are not legs.
But they are not legs.
True.
So those are, I would say, probably arms that maybe, if he chose to, he could use as third and fourth legs.
Are they vestigial appendages now?
They're in case he falls forward, he can just
useless,
knock
you don't
himself
use
back
them
up.
anymore.
He'll be good.
They seem to be useless. We'd have to go through all of his animations as a character and see what if any of them require use of those extraneous limbs there. Okay, well, now that we've exhausted our Cho'Gath analysis, we have to move on to something else. Actually, I want to look forward again, since we have the time. Let's look forward to another matchup in the day, actually. Let's look at CLG versus Team Impulse, because with that win there by Cloud9, they have the opportunity to contest CLG for that second round, or for that first round bye and second place.
Classic TSM, making life harder for CLG.
Yeah, right. Yeah, even when they're not doing it directly, they'll indirectly find a way to make CLG's life difficult. But it's an interesting matchup, CLG. Team Impulse, because Team Impulse has been a team that we have consistently that we've pointed out rather in recent history as being one that's improved greatly. But in their games against these lower tier teams like yesterday, they're doing some weird stuff.
I think a lot of it's hubris. I think they get a little overconfident, and then they just go like, okay, we can draft whatever we want. And then like Xiao just continues to farm on a LeBlanc, and doesn't roam around the map and affect it. So it's things like this that you still have to take the games extremely seriously, because Dignitas can come out with a good comp, with a good strategy, and then you're completely caught off guard. And by the time you try to get back into the game, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, teams are always telling us how Xiao Xiao is a big troll in scrims quite often, and he just tries a lot of these off-the-wall things. Definitely time to buckle down now, because you're really running out. This is literally their last game of the regular season.
And I have to say, though, too, like, I like that point, though, of, scrim's one thing, but even in games, right, he's pulling out champions like Yasuo that, hey, if they're the champion he wants to play, you'd at least expect him to do well on
Yeah, we were speculating that it was a style pick in the first time he picked it, but he consistently picked it up in back-to-back games. So it might be, he truly believes in that pick, and that's something that they have practice with, and other teams that scrim against them thought that he was also trolling or using a style pick, but it was a true strategy for them.
Right, exactly. So we'll have to see how that goes a little bit later in the day. We're going to take a moment because Quash shared with us, in his own words, why this game is so important for Team Liquid's immediate future and their long-term international aspirations.
So we can't let yesterday's loss throw us off our game. We have to stay focused for today's match, and we have to forget about whatever mistakes we made, even though how bad they were. We just have to be 100% into this game, because winning this means us playing a tiebreaker and giving us a chance to go to playoffs, which is really important to make it into a Worlds.
I like the distinction here that this game is the game they have to focus on, recognizing they might have to play 2 games today, keeping that second game out of that tiebreaker out of their mind, because this is the means to that end. And being very clear, I think that's important that the whole team there as individuals, each player understands that and is really looking at this match first.
Yeah, one step at a time is the first key, and this is going to be a real test of how do these guys deal with pressure. I mean, Piglet has proven himself as far as pressure he's been on the world stage. But really, will the rest of the team come together? Because that's been the real question with Team Liquid. Yes, there's all these damning stats for Piglet, and you're like, oh my God, they lose so many games when they're using Piglet now. But those are just games at a different period in time where a lot of the rest of the team have been crumbling. And so it seems like the cracks starting to show within the other spots in Liquid.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of damning spots. Like Piglet has 1 win on the roster against teams that aren't Coast. Like
that's correlation, though,
that's
right?
correlation.
There's no cause connection here.
Well, and that, right?
No. I want to make the argument here, because when Keith is on the roster, you're beating teams like TSM, you're beating teams like CLG. There has to be something there, and it's not just Piglet's performance as a player on the field. It's the way that the team interacts as a whole.
But that's
something there.
We've gotten reports that Piglet's attitude is greatly improved.
Yeah. But sometimes people just don't mesh.
I mean, all we can do is speculate, right? And it is possible that there is this intangible factor, rather, right? Of the team just performing better when Keith is in the lineup, because I agree, Piglet has stepped up. We've gotten reports from the team and the management themselves that absolutely his attitude has improved. He's talking the most out of anybody in scrims, right? So it's no longer maybe an individual issue, but for whatever reason, the team itself is still not meshing, right? And it's almost it's too late, rather, to figure that out. You're playing your last game of the season here with Piglet, so I think that at best what you can do is align.
Yes.
You just have to be verbally in alignment with what is happening this game, which is which I haven't seen in some of the past games, right? Obviously you want to win. Great, we're all aligned on that. But what is the actual game plan here? Really, very clearly, what is our goal? Who is the farm going to be funneled on? Who's the carry? What's the comp being built around? And a lot of that's going to fall on the coach, but also the players themselves to remind themselves of that, that singular goal or that core goal when they're in the game.
Yeah, and again, I keep talking about how these players are going to deal with pressure. I also looked at Xpecial in these times, because yes, Piglet's proven himself. I feel like Xpecial has also proven himself so many times. This is a world-class support here. And when he was on TSM, he also would talk often about wanting a role in shot calling and wanting to be more of a leadership role, even when Reggie was on the team. And Reggie is one of the strongest personalities that you will ever meet or work with. So I'll expect a lot from Xpecial, to kind of take up the mantle in this time of need for Liquid.
I was going to say, if there was ever a time, it's right now for him to showcase his veteran status, keep everyone else calm, cool, collected, and directed. Rather, just a quick update. We're still a couple minutes out. Same issue with the mouse, trying to get that sorted out. So that our world-class support can showcase his world-class support
I do want
skills.
to jump off the support there, because yesterday he had a game where it looked like he was trying to overcompensate. He was the only surprise factor on the team. He's jumping in flash Tibbersing when it was clear that the team was not ready to follow up and that the enemy team was waiting for that exact move. They're like, he's going to flash Tibbers. They read him like a book. It's those types of situations where
You see the culprit on your screen.
You!
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your point there.
It's okay. That's a much more interesting one anyway. But yeah, the fact that it looked like he was overcompensating and being the sole source of hard engage there, that's the kind of thing where you need to get everybody behind you. The alignment is so important. Unifying under one person and completely being like under their rule as a shot caller is very important when you're trying to just get to a singular thing. It just blows my mind how they've had this problem for a very long time, and we see like, nope, it's going, nope. Like, no, it just seems to not be getting better. And like you said, intangibles might be a part of it, because there's tons of things. Like, I want to go into a little psychological aspect here.
Absolutely, we got the time.
Because if you're performing with somebody that is a world-class player, sometimes you think to yourself, man, they're always going to get the credit no matter what. I'm not going to get anything for myself. There's all these different things like, the laning phase is theirs. I need to overcompensate. I need to be a star too. I need to show it. Like, sometimes you don't have personalities that are going to check themselves and be like, all right, let's let them drive the vehicle. Let's do this. Whereas if you get somebody who's going to take a back seat to you much more willingly, maybe that suits your play style, right? There's all these different things that culminate into that. And I think it's just, we're speculating a lot. There's a lot of questions here, and we're never getting any answers.
Well, the thing is, if we're going to do analysis and look at the statistics here, when you try and perform statistical analysis, you design an experiment and you keep all external factors consistent. You cannot do that over the course of these LCS games. We're limited here. That we haven't been able to design this experiment. They haven't been able to keep every external factor the same and just swap out the one variable so you can test Piglet versus Keith. So that's why we're not.
They're playing different teams. They're playing on different patches.
You're never going to get
These are very different games.
You're never going to get a scientific experiment in any League of Legends.
Exactly. Unfortunately, and that's why we can only make our best informed guess or inference as to why one thing works over the other. But to your point about individuals, right? Like it's one of those things where you have to wonder if too much focus was put on finding the individual who was the problem.
Yeah.
In the team, right? There was so much speculation around it is 180 carry or the other. It could not be that. It could be something else entirely, right? Mm-hmm. It goes back to that kind of common or that mindset of the entire team not being aligned, as opposed to being like, oh, well, when he's in, we're not winning, so that's a problem.
And I also want to talk about another mindset thing with Phoenix. They talk about how he's the best player in North America in scrims, and he has not transferred it to the stage. I mean, that's a mental thing as well, being able to perform, being able to make those aggressive moves, and have the confidence in yourself. Like, that's something that is very hard and difficult to work on. You can't just be like, oh, go be confident. Go have faith in yourself, right? Sometimes you tunnel vision on your screen too hard. Sometimes you don't check your mini-map. Sometimes you don't actually, you can put down as many wards as you want, but if you don't pay attention to them, they don't mean anything. So his types of aggression that he's been performing in scrims, he just doesn't have that. He has that mental block that's
he's not replicating it on the stage.
Yeah, he's not getting through to it. And I keep hearing all the hype around him, and it's been really hit or miss.
Another individual I want to look at on Liquid, and then we can maybe jump over to Dignitas.
yeah.
Again, though,
Liquid for quite a while.
Yeah,
exactly.
we've been on Liquid for quite a while.
But I do want to jump to the top lane and look at Quas. He pulled out the Renekton yesterday. Very weird pick, one in general, but he has been known as the guy here in the NALCS to pull out anything, right? When you look across, we had some interesting stats earlier in the season about his unique champion pool in games in a row and things like that. But he's become a little bit less impressive to me in recent games just from his own individual play beyond his champion pool still being impressive in the fact that he's willing to go to these other things. We had highlights of him outplaying 2v1 on Lissandra, remember, against Impaler against Coast with the Jarvan and the Scion, but that's not happening anymore. So just from an individual standpoint, I think he's going to need to step up here because he is one of the individuals that Team Liquid relies on to give them advantages and pull a lot of pressure from the other lanes.
And the game yesterday, he was heavily targeted. Not only was he on Renekton, but also the enemy team did everything they possibly could in the early game to shut him down and make him a non-factor and take away that strength from Team Liquid.
Yeah, especially when he's up against a Scion. It's like the worst scaling top lane tank versus the best scaling top lane tank, Renekton versus Scion.
All right, the PC is rebooting.
Oh my god.
So we are hoping that we're almost there.
Is there an SSD in there?
Of course we can't guarantee. Yeah, please let there be an SSD there. Of course we can't guarantee that we'll be getting into that it will work, but hopefully that will be solving the problem. Did you have something you want to jump in on?
I was like, I don't want this to be like roast Liquid time because it's like they're in 7th place at the moment and they have to win 2 games today to be in playoffs, and you don't get here into this position without some problems that need to be talked about, right? So that's why this conversation is going the way it is.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any,
Yeah. I'm just throwing that out there.
Any doubts around that. Anyway,
I love these guys.
Let's hop back over to Dignitas here for just a moment. Looking at that top lane matchup, we'll kind of transition from Quas needing to be one of the people that to really step up for Liquid. Gamsu has been one of the is probably the most consistent performer on the side of Dignitas. So, perhaps a little boon to their confidence there that they do have a fairly decent top matchup going in.
Yeah. Gamsu is kind of like the performance he had yesterday, very similar to the performance that Quas was up against with Avalon, except, man, both of them had great Scion performances. Like, actually, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between them. I actually got them confused at the start. I was like, Gamsu, no, Avalon. But that's because they're playing these engaged top laners. They're playing these champions that start the fight off. He's like, I'm going to play Jarvan, Hecarim, Scion the last 2 weeks. So he has been this ruthless force in the top lane, and going head-to-head with Quas is going to be a very interesting matchup to watch because they both have that style where they want to create pressure for the team, and it opens up the map for them.
Yeah, you look at just CS numbers alone, Gamsu being the number 3 top laner at 65, almost 66 at 10 minutes per game, and Quas on the other side of things being the number 1 top laner. So you've got the 1 and 3 CS-wise at 10 going up against each other. Makes for a good matchup. We'll see now whether or not these teams decide to go for a lane swap and just have them avoid each other altogether, or give them that opportunity to go up 1v1.
That's going to be pretty tricky because both these supports love to roam. It depends on what they get in champion selects. If you lane swap and you get Kiwi Kid or Xpecial freed up with an Annie, your mid lane's going to have some pressure on it.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Shifter played Katarina yesterday. That's a champion that we know gets a couple kills and goes absolutely insane, but has the ability to roam if isn't kept in check in the mid lane. So that's something that maybe Dignitas moves towards having that high roam potential between Kiwi on support, Shifter, giving him a champion that he can really affect the other lanes with.
And again, that was really a perfect storm for Katarina, for the Katarina pick. Shifter even said afterwards, he tweeted out he was really rusty on Katarina. So the rest a little bit showed, but also, the team, funneling more kills into him. There were a couple times when they could have actually given last hits over to him as well and really get behind that pick if they're going to commit to it.
Right. So with that pick in mind, you have to wonder, if we're going to be seeing a lot of lockdown coming out of Team Liquid, because the thing, Dignitas, they held on to that Katarina pick till the last pick in the draft, but now we know it's in their repertoire. Right, and they were able to choose it because there was very little hard CC or ways of disrupting that ultimate from Katarina.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be red side if you're going to run a Katarina comp because of the climate of League of Legends right now with tanks running around wild. Like every single champion we just saw in the last game, Jat mentioned 8 champions in that game with hard CC. That's only excluding the AD carries. And even Varus can bring some hard CC. We've seen him today. So you could bring you could bring your whole team, all 5 champions with Heart CC and try and shut down something like a Katarina.
I want to talk a little bit about this tank meta that's developed, right? We can move away from this matchup. We're still, obviously waiting on things to be sorted out, and I don't want to exhaust every talking point when it comes to this game. So when we talk about just the tank meta in general, yesterday we mentioned, the Juggernaut is obviously one of the counters to that, one of the attempted counters at that, having a tank shredder.
Yeah.
What are the other
best.
Right, yeah, probably the best. What are the other options though that teams could explore to busting up this tank meta?
Big fan of Vi.
Vi, as demonstrated by the Cloud9 game. But we were also talking earlier about high damage AoE comps against big frontline tank comps.
And to pull that off, you have to bring tanks of your own also as well, right?
Oh, so tank meta. Oh, great. Counter it by
you beat tank meta with more tank.
Well, that's really the trend, the way it's going, right? What are we seeing pop up? Urgot, he gets tanky as well. These damage sources that also do not pop so quickly, right? Because you've got one AD carry on your team, and you're going to use whatever shielding or defensive abilities or try and peel for that person. You need a little bit more beef everywhere else. That's why, some people branching out to Cho'Gath, as we've seen, also inherently gains extra health from the ultimates. Similar level of tankiness there to what Urgot scales up to, but the general trend moving in this direction is actually kind of disturbing to me because
I love it
completely changes the way that teams perform in team fights. That's why all these teams are talking about, we're not as good at team fighting as we used to be. That's because team fights are completely different now. Team fights, they last almost twice as long. There are so many more opportunities for you to make decisions. So keeping track of zoning, and there are opportunities for lost time in team fights right now that were not necessarily there before because they were over so quickly. And you jump on somebody, you have an easy target. We've all heard the listen-ins on the mics, and they're just like, Vayne, 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 Vayne. Okay, Vayne's dead. Next part of the team fight is the Urgot. Okay, very simple team fights, right? Now it's not so simple anymore because you constantly have to reevaluate, am I better suited right now to try and peel for my AD carry and increase our damage output, or try and inhibit the damage output of the enemy AD carry, try and zone them out, or actually commit to them?
Yeah, I want to hear your point. I just have to say the mouse issue is fixed. We're giving them a couple minutes to verify settings. Just wanted to throw that out there so everyone knows what's going on. Now back to your point on this topic.
And AD carries have to go through a whole change as well, where it's the 2 tanks are kind of close to me. Is it better that I do 0 DPS and take a few steps back, force them to get a little frustrated, and then they have to use cooldowns to actually deal with my tank line, right? So it's one of those things where is the Nautilus going to use his E to slow the people around him and not reach the AD carry? Like these types of things. Because if he gets in range, like we saw Sneaky back off of an entire fight and be like, all right, my DPS is 0 for 3 seconds, and then he goes back in. Right? These types of things that AD carries have to reevaluate because the fight is going to last a long time, whereas before you're like, oh God, I'm not getting damage off for 3 seconds. The fight's only 8 seconds long. It's a huge waste. Now you can actually have that luxury to calm down, but it's a little harder to keep track of cooldowns too because people get a lot more spell rotations off.
Yeah, it does play into that idea of decision making and the number of decisions that are now having to be made in team fights.
Number of mistakes too.
Right, exactly. The possible mistakes, but that's why I think AD carries like Sneaky are becoming noticeable.
Golden. You get Sneaky on your team. You hold on.
Exactly. It's like they are noticeable and they're stars now. They're coming out of the woodwork because of the fact that he plays so consistently and makes the right decision. And when he makes 5 in a row in a team fight, it's that much more impressive.
Yeah, it's the difference between an AD carry that loves the peel meta themselves, loves people being the tank line, and loves being the front line themselves. Right? Like the Juggernaut composition's actually a little different than Protect the Kog'Maw, because that's where the Kog'Maw is the front liner. You give so many shields to him.
Juggernaut, yeah, and part of the term refers to the play style, not just the champions that you're choosing.
Yeah.
All right, enough of us. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of seeing the 3 of us. The issues have been resolved on stage, so we're going to hand it off to our casters for the play-by-play.
I could have gone with another 5 minutes of you 3. Thanks, Dash, and the rest of you gents. Great discussions. Let's get right into the next match, however, with a quick look at the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's going to be Team Dignitas. That is Gamsu in the top lane, a Zingy in the jungle, Shifter in mid, Core JJ at AD carry, and Kiwi Kid at support.
Yes, and on the red side, we have Team Liquid right there. You saw Special still testing some stuff out. Quas top lane. I will dominate the jungle. Phoenix, mid laner. Pick on AD carry, and X special on support, we hope.
Getting it all fixed up. Really, we just needed a breather after that last game. Everybody was getting some oxygen.
Yeah,
Just took a
TSM
moment.
Cloud9 lived up to all the TSM Cloud9 hypes. Also had the result that happens most frequently with Cloud9 beating TSM, surprisingly. This one, though, we're just going to hit again quickly on the implications here.
Yeah.
Right? If Team Dignitas wins, they tie for that seed, I believe, right? They tie for the seed with WinterFox because WinterFox defeated Coast earlier today. They move up to 7-11.
Yes.
And this would also make Team Liquid drop down,
To 8
most
and 10.
likely to 7th place, which would be
Right.
extremely unfortunate for them. So really, Team Liquid needs this win because that would force a tiebreaker for them at the end of the day.
So many expectations for this team coming in this year and not met, at least by the fans. Struggles are obviously going to happen on a team when you switch things up. We've seen it happen to even the greatest of teams. Chronologic Gaming, through past few seasons, have had changes to work through. Some who get there faster than others. Now into picks and bans. Dignitas coming off a nice win over Impulse yesterday. See if they can carry that momentum. It'd be great to get a win here over Team Liquid. Nidalee Scion to be banned out first. Gamsu not going to have an easy time in the top lane on that Scion this game.
Expected Scion ban, something Gamsu has been relying on to crush people with.
Yeah.
Nidalee ban, I feel like, is trying to push I Will Dominate away from a carry role. I really wonder what the overall team strategy of Team Liquid will be this game. Whether or not they try and get Piglet to be the carry, or whether they focus around Dominate and Quas's farm. Not much has been working for Team Liquid lately. Losing 4 out of 5. And it definitely looks like the bans thus far are heavily targeting I Will Dominate.
Yeah, that one win as well coming against Coast. So more likely than not, still thinking about what has troubled them in these past games to right those wrongs. Rek'Sai Lulu does get shown on the ban list from Dignitas. Gamsu definitely not getting a good focus lane here. Makes me think that they may want to get a 2v1 and really put him down.
Yeah, I think the Lulu ban is pretty heavily at Quas as well. It
Yeah,
also, they're
absolutely.
trying to eliminate a lot of the Team Liquid strategies here, whether or not it's Dominate farming a bunch or Quas protecting Piglet with a giant Lulu shield. But yeah, Rib, that's 2 jungle bans, 4 top lane bans.
Yep. A lot of love for the Gamsu man this time. Whether that love is along with a little hatred to make sure his lane fails, we'll see.
He still has champions that he has played. His Renekton is potentially best in the North American LCS. You wouldn't need to pick that right away, though. It's actually something Quas played yesterday to very little impact because they lost a lane swap and he was behind already. Would they actually? I mean, Azingi's been playing
He loves the blob.
really good Zac. And if they're going to pick it anyway, regardless of matchup,
Yeah.
why not pick it first with all the target bans?
Zac is also a very easy change your mind kind of champion. I'm in, no, I'm out. In and out. Or you can just do a flyby and get what you want. We'll see. He's tried to put himself in the right position, but has also been caught out with those situations. Good to have the Hecarim going right over to Quas for this one. Special gets Annie, and it seems like those 2 picks, they got exactly what they wanted there in
Team
the first
Liquid
round.
is definitely looking to initiate this game. 2 incredibly powerful initiation champions right there. Hecarim and Annie. We'll see if Dignitas also decides to go in with initiation or if they try a more disengaged, focused style.
I don't know if there was like a pact coming in today when everybody went through the door. It's like, hey, at some point,
Well, it's
we're going to get
the Banana
Soraka.
group over there.
There is a banana group, that is true. He does have a lot of supporters here, along with the teams. See what Dignitas can throw into
Look
the
at that
mix.
guy. I mean, I said group in a very loose term. It's the man in a Soraka costume.
When there's one banana, there's always a bunch, Jet.
Yeah.
There's always a bunch.
Dignitas taking their time with these last 2 picks.
Yes, they are. Shifter bringing out that Katarina yesterday. Even himself said it was a little shaky. He got a tweet from Skara, another Katarina master, that said, man, you could have gone a lot harder. And Shifter said, yeah, probably. I was a bit rusty, though. I haven't played her in a while.
Doesn't count, still won. Yeah, Azingi and Shifter lock in those champions
Yep.
for Team Dignitas. I like the Sivir for the move speed and potential disengage, whereas Team Liquid just goes harder on the initiation. I love the Sejuani pick by I Will Dominate. Mainly just because it combos so well with the other initiation they already have. And this is a 5.5 patch. Before even minor Sejuani nerfs, I feel like Sejuani is potentially the most powerful jungler on this patch.
Also with the easiest missed ultimate of junglers.
Oh, it did break.
What will it be? Shifter back to Diana. It has been a while for sure if he were to lock that in. The banana crowd gets some love. I don't think we're going to get that pick, though. What will Gamsu choose? Kennen still left up. He's been not a high priority pick, but definitely up there a bit. I would love to see the Diana.
Yeah.
We've definitely seen Diana in a few other regions. This is like at high school when the guy's doing the volume thing.
Yeah.
Turn it up, turn it down, turn it up.
Hey. They already had Thresh, so the likelihood of a Soraka was minimal.
Hey, it is Dignitas. That could have been middle.
Yeah.
Maybe last year.
It's been so long since this was a thing.
Yeah.
The cheers on fake champion hovers. You listen to Team Liquid's comms, they're just like, we could actually make this work.
Then they give it to Quas. No. It could be the list coming in. Looking at Quas as well. He kind of took a hiatus from playing different champions, but back to it. This is the first time he'll be on Hecarim, so.
Yeah. For Team Liquid, it's all about focusing in on what they actually want to play in LCS because they've been all across the board. Their coach has actually come under some pretty heavy criticism lately, Peter, just for his champion selects. I mean, yesterday it looked very poor as far as a counter matchup to the enemy. Here, though, Team Liquid trying to stack as much CC as possible. The question will be, do they have enough damage to go with it? It's a lot of ice on one team. Ice and fire.
4 ladies and a horse,
And
a.k.a.
undeads.
Team Liquid.
Jeez.
See if they can produce some results with this composition. Definitely a lot of ice, though, as you were talking about.
It's like their team comp was written by George R.R. Martin right here. Like, look at this.
Some Shadow Isles. And a bit of fire. Fire and ice from Team Liquid coming in. And the amalgamation of creations over here from the side of Team Dignitas and Zach. Some cheese from the Moon and Diana. We'll get a rest of the plays. I want to see what Shifter can do, though. Back on a champion that can, if gets going, carry a game. We've seen Scar go into final form when he was on Dignitas playing Diana in certain games and can really put some damage out.
Shifter is just playing Scar's old champions. That is the way of the world nowadays. And yeah, looks like we're about to get into this game where Team Liquid need the win. Probably more than Team Dignitas because obviously the tie and the choice of challenger team is important, but making the playoffs is at the top of Team Liquid's mind, and they cannot do that without a win.
The handshake of good camaraderie from the coaches. That's done for the players as well, as they all say, good luck, have fun, as we enter onto the Rift. It's time to sign into Twitter as well, on your second monitor or on your phones here in the LCS studio, to vote for who you think will be triumph at this game. Send either hashtag DIGWin or hashtag TLWin to @LOL Esports. We'll calculate those throughout the game. And a Swamp Master Kennen, I like that. Coming out of Gamsu, not something we see all the time. These guys are spicing things up, getting what they want. We've got a few comfort picks coming into this game, and it means a lot for the tiebreakers. It's Team Dignitas versus Team Liquid.
And looking at these team compositions, the thing I like the most about Team Liquid's comp is that they are giving themselves the ability to initiate. They found some small success, playing kite-based team compositions, but honestly, what they have excelled at is everyone going in. Phoenix himself is an incredibly aggressive player, and he often goes in before the team is ready, but this time, if Phoenix goes in, everyone will have the ability to follow up.
Something that Team Liquid likes to do. They don't make too many calls, but when they make them, the team is usually all on board. Maybe this is the time they can start to get an upper hand. Hopefully in the early game, definitely have good objective fighting here against Dignitas. Looks like the lanes may not match up here in the beginning. One of our first games that doesn't actually go duo.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on Dominate and a Zingy here to figure some stuff out in the early game.
Question is, will they open up like there is a lane swap? I wonder. One freedom you have as Diana, and we're very unlikely to see it here, but because Diana can flex between mid and top lane as well as Kennen, you could either see a lane swap there, or you could even see, we've seen teams do like an 80 carry mid lane to try and beat up on a mage that is shorter range. Doesn't look like we'll see that in this game, but it's something Team Liquid would have to consider, which is kind of why Team Liquid was just doing defensive wards here. and hoping to not get bamboozled by something strange from Team Dignitas.
I'm still interested to see what happens with Gamsu as well. 3 top laners banned at him. Is it still to focus that top lane? He got Kennen. Pretty easy to farm in a 2v1 situation by yourself as him. So another thing to keep an eye on. Quas, as he does on Sion, will now do on Hecarim. And he's going to whirly bird the Raptor camp here. Take them out.
Yeah, definite lane swap as well.
Oh, dear.
Ooh.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He can't just walk up to the CS.
Yeah, he was trying to steal a little bit of experience.
Yep.
That's going to hurt Gamsu, not double jungling, and walks into a poor lane swap. Whereas you can see there is double jungling going on for Team Liquid. So that is
and Quas camp
advantage
too.
Team Liquid early. Advantage Quas, basically.
Right. Good call.
He is the one getting experience, whereas Gamsu would ideally be denied. Although X Special did go to get a deep ward, which tracks now Team Liquid's jungle, but it hurt their denial of Gamsu a little bit.
There we go. Textbook plays. We have Kiwi Kid roaming up a little bit here to help on the blue buffs. Quas and Dominate now just on the bottom side of Gamsu.
If they time this right, they can get a turret dive in on
With the wave, right?
Gamsu. Yep. How big will they build up that wave? Oh, they're not even building up a wave. They're just freezing him out. Gamsu will not be able to get experience here unless... Well, this is interesting, actually, because there's a recall by X Special. So if Gamsu doesn't respect that X Special's in that brush, he can get CS. But if he does respect him, he's going to have to die himself. So he is actually forced to take a big risk by that recall from X Special because he did not let it be seen that he was gone.
And Piglet as well.
Piglet is playing like X Special is there.
Great. Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say. And Gamsu is completely respecting it. It's going to be tough for him. There's going to be a 3-man quickly towards bottom here. I wonder if they're actually baiting Gamsu, or Quas rather, into this one. Perfectly done. Quas flies through like he's blindly running into the situation, but it was the bait that's going to get the first blood onto Core JJ.
Wow. The timing was perfect by Team Liquid. Everyone was in tow as soon as they committed for that turret dive. They get trapped with a Sejuani and an Annie. The lane swap was perfectly timed, perfectly mind game, and lucky from Team Liquid. And they get first blood and 800 gold lead.
Baited and outsmarted.
That's actually what happened.
It is said. 4 minutes in, Team Liquid with something on the plate. They already get that in their favor, and Gamsu is still having a rough time here in the bottom lane. So Quas, camp up, levels up, now also a kill up over his top laner along with that CS. It's going to be tough for Gamsu rather to get into these fights. And X Special is going to go for more deep wards, so it's going to be hard for Zingy to even help Gamsu in the later part of the game. The Wisp is really the only thing right now. It's kind of offering that help.
X Special gets to see the Wisp, which tells him pretty much exactly where Zingy could be.
That's true, too.
Yeah, he
more
has
info.
The deep ward, so he knows there's a chance that Zach would be defending the turret. Yeah, Zingy doesn't even try to get a counter gank in. He just straight up protection for Gamsu. Taking the CS.
Stealing his siege minion. Great job. True, bro. Big lane paycheck there, not even taxed. So Gamsu might need this for quite a bit here as he's going to be levels down and easily harassed by Annie and Callista over from Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, really just an awful lane swap there by Team Dignitas to start this game. They decided, I mean, they got lane swapped on without any ward knowledge of where the lane swap would be.
Nobody went deep for wards early in the game.
No one went deep for wards. It was defensive. And they didn't start with the double jungle for insurance. They just had him in the lane. And then they didn't even have a plan B. It's not like Gamsu said, oh, man, they're doing this. I'm going to go take a jungle camp. Zingy started on the other side of the map, so they couldn't even have double jungle as a fallback.
Yep.
Everything went wrong before Quas baited the dive. And then it just became a disaster.
Zingy, oh, that's going to be the blocks. I don't know if they have enough, though, on that. They only got a few minions. Looks like X Special is going to try to get AoE on them still to at least clear it.
Well, they wanted to be as low as possible when he respawned.
Right.
To get damage on the blocks. It looked like
out.
X Special pressed the turbo button, or Piglet pressed the turbo button there with his attacks. It was like auto QE in such quick succession that he really bursted to Zingy for more than he was expecting. Impressive Callista play there by Piglet.
Like he is feeling good about that lane right now, knowing they have the upper hand. Zingy will still focus top, but that leaves bottom open for a bit of gank pressure. A nice pushback on the
Kiwi Kid has
Kiwi
no
Kid.
flash.
The permafrost goes down. The teleport's coming in here, and they cannot get to Gamsu. He may be able to offer a lot in this fight. Throws on the electrical surge as he goes in. Dominate should be going down here, but he's just doing all the damage he can before he does. Wait a minute.
If he jukes,
Boomerang.
he's got to juke a lot.
Nope. And got him.
No jukes, he just got auto-attacked.
Quas had to leave him out.
I mean, a pretty good gank there by Dominate, trying to play off of the fact that Quas was not far behind and just jungle gank top laning to keep pressure everywhere on the map. But that puts them at risk of a teleport counter gank. Because Gamsu picked up a kill, it'll help him a little bit. The big thing Team Liquid has to do is either kill a Zingy or put a lot of damage on this turret to punish that teleport.
Right. I was about to say it's...
He has no passive anymore. What's the Zingy doing?
Well, he's got the bounce. He's definitely going to get a kill on it. Special. No! Fate's call! You got to be kidding me. What a play!
There's a roam, though, coming up from Shifter. No
This is
face
6.
call this time.
He hits it. The ultimate went in, but I don't think he has the ult cooldown again. It did not match his crescent slash timing, so he cannot follow up again on Piglet. He may still want it. Piglet walks towards Diana one way to easily dodge the Q. That Fate's call, man.
Dignitas fighting back a little bit, but I agree with you. Beautiful timing on the ultimate from Piglet to outplay under the turret right there. Whew. And with all that, you know, a 1,500 gold lead this early on in the game with the traded kills. Quite beneficial. You can see Piglet with an early BF sword to a pickaxe of Core JJ now as they are swapping back, actually. So they don't decide to finish the turret. They say they got what they needed out of this lane swap. They have an item advantage on the AD carry, and it's time to pressure that. And Callista is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, you can say that. Pretty powerful in the dives, too. Man, when a play surprises the commentator, you know it was good. Fantastic job coming out by this top lane. You were just talking about Piglet's Callista play. It's on point in every aspect of this game. Hopefully he can keep it up. Team Liquid would love this win, as we were talking about the tiebreaker implications earlier. 3-2 here as we come into 9 minutes.
Oh, there is a level 6 Sejuani here. That's the gank path.
Lockdown.
No
Once again, the ultimate coming in into Glacial prison as well. There's a bit of the ice we were talking about. Gonna cool off Shifter.
Speaking of crowd control, easiest gank of I Will Dominate's life right there. Shifter has no flash. Phoenix starts with the first bit of lockdown. Ults him. Dominate actually walks up and point blanks his Bola from Sejuani. We talked about that spell maybe missing. Impossible to miss unless you don't click in the right place.
Yeah, at that range for sure.
I mean, a very smart gank too, because they knew Shifter was down flash and they knew the pressure they can add with Lissandra Sejuani.
Yep. Good to take a bite out of him as well. He just got a bit of a play towards top lane, so cutting him down a slot as they get some more kills over to Dominate and an assist to Phoenix. Piglet and the rest of Liquid have switched their duo back to the bottom lane here, maybe for a bit of dragon pressure. As we see Quas go in top and teleport up just about at the same time as Gamsu's will be. A Zingy still, however, I don't think he's really bent towards the bottom of the map unless it's to farm his red and just come back up here to make sure Gamsu is safe. It's been a lot of babysitting.
A lot of babysitting, that's for sure. I Will Dominate is looking really strong at the start of this game. Getting 2 early kills on Sejuani, who is a mid-late game champion, is just going to propel him through that early game so much better and make the team fight of Team Liquid massive. I mean, it was real scary for Team Liquid, and it still is scary. They're not out of the woods yet.
Nope.
But coming into this week, with Winterfox and Team Dignitas on their lineup, only teams below them in the standings, they were thinking that maybe they could actually just clinch a playoff spot, not even need to play a tiebreaker game. There was a chance that the loss to Winterfox could have actually knocked them straight out of the playoffs, but the 2 teams that Team Liquid is competing with, Teammate and Gravity, also lost yesterday, and they play each other today. So there's a guarantee that one of those teams will have an 0-2 week, and if Team Liquid wins today, that will be the team that Team Liquid plays the tiebreaker for that last playoff spot.
I remember back, what was it, just at the beginning of week 8, we were saying, yeah, Liquid's going to have one of the easiest ends to their season. Piglet gets caught after a nice hook from Kiwi Kid. They kept the lane very safe, and that's how easy that is to miss.
Yeah.
But they get the flash.
Shooting it out before the flash, I Will Dominate. Jumping the gun, that's what you see most Sejuani players mess up at, is using that ultimate too early. Got to talk about that gank bottom lane, though. One hook, all it takes. Callista jumps around as soon as you see Seer, so no more jumping. And Zach just comboed that in. Now, They want it. Where's the lantern? Someone take it.
That's
Someone
a
take
flash. Flash for flash. Corjay at the very low mana here from the two trailing shifter, but he has the Crescent Strike up. He has the ultimate, and he just vacuums Xpecial in for the kill.
it. Dignitas sells out for that kill, but honestly, they knew there was no backup possible from Team Liquid. Pivot was dead. Dominate was just top. Quas was also just top. No one could punish Team Dignitas for starting that one. And like we saw yesterday, when Team Dignitas makes a play, they've actually been very good about going for an objective right afterwards. But teleport from Quas, time to run from a horse.
Gonna try to get control on this. Zingy just used the slingshot to get into the fight, and he's gonna go down inside the fray. Who are they gonna give this one to? I think it was a scramble, but Piglet rends out the last blob. Can't beat that. And they are gonna get Dragon. So even with positional advantage there, Dignitas is just quickly pushed away.
Yeah, Team Dignitas jumped the gun on that one. I thought it was a nice kill into Dragon Take, but considering they had burned so many ults and flashes just to get in position for that kill,
A lot used.
the contest, as soon as the teleport came, they needed to retreat, but they were at a place where they could not actually retreat because they were trapped inside a pit in between a dragon and the enemy team. So Quas was able to pick up that nice, easy kill.
Oh, little Roam here. Sweeps it. Might be a back and forth, trying to keep Xpecial out of the fight. They get Gamsu on the Dark Passage. Keeping him safe there. He did get himself a kill recently, so he's starting to charge up to get to that Zanya's, and he will be quite effective, especially at getting the lockdown on this team, because Liquid has a lot to follow up on after they get the hit.
I'm thinking this is going to be a real fun game as well. Gamsu's coming back into it a little bit with the kill he was able to get. That disastrous lane swap is evening out a little bit. Just the fact that teams have brought so much initiation into this game. Team Liquid, everyone able to contribute. Even the AD carry, because Piglet can turn someone else into a projectile and knock them up with that person. That's their side. And then Team Dignitas has good counter-engage or disengage as well. But 5 kills to 4, only 13 minutes in before the team fight phase, with only explosive team fights upcoming, will make for a spectacular display of fight.
Three's a crowd. Gamsu again getting focused. They're getting a little prep damage onto him.
He's trying to bait.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of friends.
maybe get that rush out. Mid lane's getting focused here by a Zingy, and maybe seeing him is going to allow Gamsu to take the hits. Team Liquid act on that very quickly. Maybe a Zingy tries to make a play here in the mid lane to get that back.
I Will Dominate just goes all out with those Sejuani ultimates. Oh, there's a Zingy.
He did get in. Lunar Rush into the Crescent Strike. Is it enough to follow up? The Moonfall pulls him back in, but bye-bye. Bye-bye.
The Ice Claw there from Phoenix, they couldn't stop him. I didn't see it come out because Zach was hopping around, but he slipped it there. Almost looked like another Callista all pulled someone up. But yeah, Phoenix escaping that hurts Team Dignitas right there. After Team Liquid spends so much to invest in a kill, Team Dignitas tries to do the same thing, 3-man gank mid lane. One works, the other doesn't. Advantage to
That's exactly it. One works, the other doesn't. If it keeps going that way, things are only going to get harder for Dig. Dragon already over for Team Liquid, number 1 there. As the lane's slowly getting pushed here. Looks like everybody's going back, clean up the resources. Phoenix not exactly ready for blue, so Dominate's just going to go ahead and take the small camps, get what he needs. Probably getting a back and a buy for himself shortly. Good movement here by Team Liquid, not letting any of the minions go to waste, being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah. It's going to be a very action-packed game. We're in a bit of a lull here because both teams just made their plays. They're waiting on their ultimate cooldowns. But if this game has been any indication thus far, I Will Dominate is very willing to throw out the Sejuani ultimate right away, which will create action, but it will also create very dangerous and volatile action. If he ends up missing that ultimate after Eing or flashing in, he is incredibly exposed. And the counter engage isn't quite there for Team Liquid, which could create some really interesting fights. I think I Will Dominate is using his Sejuani ultimate far too early, because it is a very skinny skill shot and quite dodgeable.
Once it hits, you get all the way AoE in the world.
So you want to use it for either close up from Fog of War or as a follow-up to other initiation, which Team Liquid has a lot of follow-up. I'm not sure why I Will Dominate feels so pressured to throw out his ultimate right away.
A good point was calling back to Gamsu's flash in the top lane. Even waiting for that would have been more
Yeah,
optimal. So
absolutely.
little situations, maybe timing the flashes is something they really haven't gotten down yet. Also looking at what's going to happen when we get to the turrets in this game. You said it'd be volatile. These guys don't take down turrets very fast either, so I feel like those are always going to be just an all-out brawl as well.
Yeah, they'll have to fight over the turrets instead of just pushing.
It's pushing or poking. Can't really do that with any of the members from both these teams. A few boomerangs are coming out, but you're not doing turret damage with those. Trying to pick up some scuttle control in the middle of the map now towards Dragon, as it is a minute and a half out. Looks like Special has the same idea. They're going to start sweeping and placing their own wards in that area. A lot can be had from both initiations. I'd say it's a bit more powerful to start if Team Liquid can really hit theirs. That Annie, the Sejuani, right? You're not moving until you're dead, and that's only because you're falling to the ground. With Dignitas's, you kind of have a bit of time to roam after you take that first bit of damage.
A lot of the way Team Dignitas want to play these fights is kind of absorb the initiation from Team Liquid and then flank onto Piglet. Shifter wants to get in from the side, kill Piglet immediately with Zach, who jumps over the top, and then Gamsu will be there, hopefully in the middle, punishing Team Liquid for group diving inside that cannon ultimate. It's a more difficult to execute team for Team Dignitas if they want to actually win this game.
Interesting ability tome purchase in the middle of a buy for Gamsu here. He has about 500 gold before he gets to his needlessly large rod, so he's tending to these top lanes right now.
Yeah. Trying to freeze it. He's so far behind Quas right now that if he gets out into the exposed area in that long lane, since the turret is dead, he won't be able to farm. He needs to keep it there as long as possible, but that puts the rest of his team at risk. A Hecarim roaming around is a very dangerous thing.
There's another lane as well. Phoenix 188 to 151 in the mid lane. Making sure to get all that CS as Shifter was roaming. They've given their advantages to the team in different ways for sure. 6-4 here as we make our way just to 20 minutes in, and Dragon is spawned, so we're about to get some action. We'll see where Quas comes in here. Looks like he's looking for the home guard teleport from base.
Yeah, just chilling out at base. Hecarim is most threatening when he teleports in with home guard, so he is here in case a fight erupts. So Zingy tries for a steal, does not get it. I will dominate as a rock as far as Smite is concerned.
I like the hold on Quas as well. That didn't make him just shoot towards the pit. He's back to the top lane. So they all get everything they want there. Nicely played. And they have the options too. It's really great to feel the comfort of having a gigantic horse able to come in on the backside of your fight and surprise the entire team. It's what they need to get back into Core JJ's area. So Dignitas decide to step off for that fight. Falling a little bit behind now in 2K gold, but it's the turrets that are really going to, I believe, spike a team through here. Yeah. Once they can pick a few of those off.
Very low turret pushing in this game. Yeah. Considering it was a lane swap, a lot of times you'll see more than just the first turret trade because either they'll swap back at the same time and then do trades for trades, or someone will rotate mid in the middle of it and get pressured there. But this time it's mainly been team fights that result in kills or ganks that result in kills, not heavily the objectives. Plus the team comps are just actually not very well suited to pushing and sieging, as you mentioned.
Right. We'll see how they get around that. Can they fix these issues that their comps have? Once again, towards this Dragon area. Not sure why they want this so much. Maybe to draw Team Liquid into a fight, knowing that's where their vision is. Yeah, Drake is gone right now. So they're not going to get much out of it. Aegis coming in on both sides. Actually finished up with the Locket for Dominate there. Hurricane for Piglet, and the spike of a Infinity Edge for Core JJ. Pretty slow on the items here, too. Not even a full completed item 20 minutes in onto Gamsu.
Yeah, well, if the turret gold doesn't go into people's pockets, their overall gold...
Yeah, you're going to see that slow game.
It looks like we could be seeing giant team fights at any moment. If we don't, though, Team Liquid is going to be using these dragons to work towards their win condition. Early on in the season, when Team Liquid was successful, they had amazing dragon control. They'd pretty much get to 4 dragons. The other team would try and fight them, and then Team Liquid would win the game-ending fight. That's the playstyle that ends up suiting them when they're not overly forcing things. Even though they have a team that's capable of doing it right now, they're still in a position. They're still in a position where they don't have to do that, though, and they can wait on these dragon cooldowns as long as they keep farming.
Gamsu keeping things safe on the home front with a ward clear. Blue is going to go over to Phoenix now. Really waiting for a team to try and make a move. A lot of safety coming from both. This turret should actually be going down quite soon. We can see Liquid start to gather here in the mid lane, and that looks like we're going to get Shifter to gather as well. Gamsu won't use his teleport. Okay, just going down to see what was going on, put down a ward. He will stay in the top lane, so we may get a teleport in from him. Pushing the bottom lane from Phoenix here. Definitely gives the knowledge to Dignitas that might be able to pick somebody off, but Team Liquid moving in too much of a group.
Yeah, they're really hoping to catch someone in transit. Team Liquid not hoping to force a fight per se, but to find a fight with Team Dignitas walking close. And they're pretty close to I Will Dominate right now, but Dominate is not close to his team. X Special might catch. There's the Lantern and the ult!
Doing that in front of a Sej, not a very smart idea, but the initiation coming from Dignitas could be better. Quas right in the middle of the fight, Fears 4, and the backline's getting hit up. Gamsu's forced to fly out of this one without Zanya's finished. He goes right down. We already lost X Special in the fight from Team Liquid, but they are able to kind of regroup and make sure they drop 3 of Team Dignitas.
And for just one, that is a one fight for Team Liquid. They did get a nice Sejuani ultimate and really comboed down. Not to mention, Piglet was able to stay safe, and they want more.
They absolutely want more. Finally getting to a turret. They're not going to waste this time. Almost getting that rend. I actually did get the rend off, just not enough.
Yeah, huge moment in the game there for Team Liquid. Forcing, but not overly so.
When you stand in front of a Sej like this, you got to expect to get ulted in the
Again,
face.
I Will Dominate sells out for that one, but he knew the move blocks had already been used. This is the interesting part, actually. The fact that Kenna was not in there to punish the dive as it happened. Gamsu then tries to close on a Piglet, but he doesn't have the assistance of Diana, so they cannot do it. And Team Dignitas does not play the right kind of fight for them to have success. Since Azingi was the one caught, he could not participate in the diving of the Callista, who honestly does not have protection in this team composition. The only protection Piglet has is the threat of the rest of his team. Therefore, if Team Dignitas flanks properly, absorbs the threat from Team Liquid, then they could kill Piglet and get a team fight win.
Yep. Simple things like that. As soon as they lose threat, Piglet is going to have a hard time in this fight. So it's all up to Team Liquid to keep that pressure on. And they do so by putting now a 5,500 gold lead between them and Dignitas. So this means control will obviously be on the up and up. Dominate's going to go ahead, grab top Scuttle Crab. So much damage, and Quas really isn't going to go down from this situation either. It's just Azingi again having to play babysitter role to the top side of Gamsu. He has had a tough game ever since that lane swap. Could see a little bit of action here in the bottom lane. It looks like Shifter is going to not go for that route, but this route.
He's got a 2-level disadvantage, so I don't think he'd win that fight. Even if Diana does have large amounts of upfront burst, Lysandra does as well. There's actually pretty substantial level advantages for 2 people on Team Liquid. Quas previously did have 2 levels on Gamsu. That should probably be level 14 to level 12 soon. And we just saw a 2-level advantage for Phoenix that has now been 15 to 14. Those levels are quite important. It's anywhere between 407 gold per level up in stats, depending on the champion. And we're seeing it manifest here. Quas manhandles Gamsu.
Yeah, that's one of my least favorite things is when you fall behind on Kennen. Everybody can just take you down in it. You really can't provide much in a fight. With the Zanyas, hopefully the 5v5 becomes more prevalent for him and the team engages. But as of right now, Quas is just doing his work in the top lane.
Quite a turnaround from Saturday for Team Liquid as well. They looked pretty abysmal in that loss to Winterfox. And Team Dignitas defeated the red-hot Team Impulse. So honestly, a lot of Team Liquid fans feared that Team Dignitas was actually the better team looking at Saturday's games, but that is not looking like the case here on Sunday, just one day afterwards, with even more pressure on Team Liquid. So big time and very important time to step up. Quas has definitely done that, as well as the rest of Team Liquid so far, 25 minutes in.
Quas has been getting very big. He has finished his Triforce. Also a needlessly large rod on top of the Morello and the Abyssal Scepter. Luden's Echo coming out for Shifter.
I really like Luden's Echo as a first or second item on people that are looking for a little bit of extra burst. People underrate the 100 base damage it gives and the move speed that Diana will benefit from in trying to get in range for the dashes. If he's just looking to assassinate one target at this point in the game, that's what he needs.
That's some sweet synergy too with the Diana passive every 3 hits.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of burst there.
There's also the danger, since he did not go for Zanya's, that he will just get blown up.
That's true.
When he goes
Definitely
in,
an item we've seen on Diana.
It's an aggressive build, that's for sure. Abyssal Zani's is the normal Diana build.
Right. So the Righteous Glory now finished up for a special here, giving himself some more options even when that flash is down. And we've seen the initiations from Team Liquid cannot be contested here.
Yeah,
when
I
it
mean,
comes from-
after the turret kills Team Liquid got, this game is really looking like a snowballed affair. Almost 8,000 gold, 3 dragons to 0, total map control, bullying off of other objectives. This is the right time to go for Baron, actually, but
Yeah.
if a steal would come in, Quas would need to react, and Team Liquid would need to turn. This is not something Team Liquid wants to trade for. And Azingi sees them, so Team Liquid has to go.
Oh, Righteous Glory goes down, pops the Randuin's effect, and that is going to be Dignitas's health bars popped as well as Zingy tries to go in. Gamsu, one last ditch effort coming in with Shifter. That's a lot of AoE damage, but not enough damage to finalize the members of Team Liquid. That's Dignitas going down. The ace, well, only losing Xpecial for Team Liquid.
Wow, and it's because they hit first right there.
Always.
Completely selling out for that fight. And you saw how close it was going to be when Team Dignitas came in on the backside. Gamsu plus Shifter nearly took out Team Liquid, but it wasn't enough. Too many people on Team Dignitas had died, and Team Liquid makes the play that gives them a resounding lead in this game.
Looks like it could be Team Liquid playing Gravity or Team 8 here with this play.
Yeah, I mean,
see the Baron
they see
again.
a Zingy, they don't care. See hero, kill hero at this point. Oh, it's Xpecial. Beautiful initiation.
Yep.
It wasn't even a Zingy. They kill the 80 carry and support immediately, which is good because look at how much damage Shifter and Gamsu do here. The Ludens plus the Kennen plus the Diana, they nearly burst out 3 people. Imagine
With
a
more
world
members?
where Sivir gets like 2 auto attacks off with Ricochet. 3 people on Team Liquid die.
Yeah.
But because Xpecial got the perfect Flash Tibbers, which was perfectly followed up by Phoenix, that was not the world we live in, and Team
Yeah.
Liquid looks to be winning this game.
They didn't expect that. I was thinking if he has Flash down, Righteous Glory helps to get in range after, but complemented, man, that's just something you can't get away from altogether. 3-0 in Dragons. Team Liquid, pretty textbook after the early part of this game, getting what they want when they want it, and they have extended that gold lead quite a bit. 51,000 now to just about 40K.
Yeah, I have to call back to Champion Select here as well.
Yeah.
When Team Liquid picked Annie so early in the draft, denying Kiwi Kid his best champion, using it against him.
Yeah.
Kiwi Kid was so happy to have Annie last game. And Xpecial
That's true.
had a bad Annie game on Saturday, but to have the confidence to go back to that yet again and use it as a value pick, using a pick almost as a ban against Team Dignitas,
Yeah.
and still getting value out of
That's a
the
good
pick.
point.
Very, very crucial.
Knowing that value, very crucial as well. It's going to deny Dig.
Hit the turret.
Quas gonna take this one down by himself, have a little party solo with these minions, and he can still keep going. Spirit of the Dread's gonna help him heal back up as well, just a little bit there. No Spirit Visage for him just yet. He actually went for the Banshee's Veil in this game to make sure he could keep going through the fight and not receive, really not much lockdown, but not take any of it.
I mean, Banshee's Veil is tremendously better at dealing with burst or just reducing overall magic damage. Oh, that's a very critical hook, though. Team Liquid might want to disengage. They do not disengage. They engage.
Yeah, they want to keep going. There's the Zanyas after the Glacial Prison as well, rather, or Glacial Tomb, I should say. Frozen Tomb. It's one of those. There's a lot of ice flying around.
Oh, man. They get a 2 for 0. Phoenix ulting himself, and then Team Liquid having the gall to just continue to fight.
I thought it was going to be a back out
Yeah.
immediately.
I mean, that's what happens with a 15,000 gold lead. Even if you catch
yeah.
a guy with a hook.
You can
or
make
through that
mistakes.
pass. You can make mistakes and get away with it.
So Team Liquid, it looked like they are in a position to rinse and repeat here. Nothing is really stopping them from getting into the turrets. That was not the most optimal fight, but one of the better ones that Dignitas is going to find, and they couldn't get much off of it under their turret. Waves are getting pushed out to give them a little bit of breathing room, but we have 11 seconds on to Dragon. That'll be number 4. If they do get to number 6, Dig's going to have to walk outside the base to contest it.
Yep.
Or 5, rather, in 6
Well,
minutes.
you weren't wrong. If
Right.
they get number 6, Dignitas will have to walk out of the base to defend it.
So it looks like Kiwi Kid will watch for the time
They're going to
being.
try the steal again. This is actually a pretty safe
He is there
steal.
for the lantern.
Zach can jump from a mile away. They lantern it in.
Too soon.
Calista
in and
had a
out.
lot of stacks on that thing. Good execute there by Piglet. Yeah, this is looking great for Team Liquid. This just adds even more importance to our next game of the day as well. when Gravity plays Team 8, because the winner of
Yep.
that will be in the playoffs. The loser of that will be in a tiebreaker with Team Liquid, assuming
Right.
the Team Liquid can finish this game off against Team Dignitas.
Puts them at 9-9. And that's where one of Gravity or Team 8 will be after their matchup. Right now, I wouldn't want to be either of those guys facing
Yeah.
Team Liquid.
Last-ditch effort from Team Dignitas would be a flank by Zingy.
Whoa!
Nope, he didn't want to do it. They weren't in position. He bailed. Zingy bailed.
Gives him the peekaboo, and he just flies right out. That's good, though. He lives to fight another day. That's exactly what Dignitas really needs in this situation. The mid lane pushed up for them, so they do get to focus here and just one person on the split push, so they're not spread too thin. But even not having all 5 members, I think, is bad against this Team Liquid team.
Zingy goes.
There he
no
goes.
Heckram.
That's
Heckram's
a
got
nice
charge
let's
TP.
bounce. The party's on. Frozen Tomb goes out, dealing a lot of AoE damage to Dignitas, and it looks like while it's cold, they are just melting under the pressure. Quas goes in for Shifter. He can't do much. Quas still has the ultimate.
Yeah, Quas was not a part of that fight. He based, charged his home guards up to teleport in. But Team Liquid had such a lead. They have such a powerful team fighting, team composition.
No, they're ahead.
Looks like they're going to be locking themselves into that tiebreaker game at the end of the day.
Looks like they will indeed, coming out strong to end the split with that game, with that tiebreaker against Gravity or Team 8. It's going to be Team Liquid taking down Team Dignitas.
The most important game of the season was just completed for Team Liquid, setting up an even more important game for them. A best of one to see if they actually make the playoffs. Coming into the year, you'd think that a 9-9 schedule in a 9-9 standing in a 10-team lead would be enough for 6th place. But that is not the case in the North American LCS, the way it all played out.
So Dignitas 6-12 in the spring split as they end this one out. Regardless of the score, there were a lot of changes in there. More than some other teams, taking out Crumbs, who was pretty, you could say, Dignitas for quite some
was
time.
the
The last
captain.
one on the team, yeah.
Yeah.
And they still managed to get some good wins. Unfortunately, not putting them in that spot to play against the tiebreaker.
A season of adversity for Team Dignitas
Yep.
lands them in 9th place, but there was still some resurgence at the end of the year for Team Dignitas. Better early game,
Smiles there.
for sure. Can take some confidence into that promotion tournament. But the real story here is Team Liquid
Team
holding
Liquid.
on. They've had such a difficult season themselves. And if they can win that tiebreaker game, they will play against either Team 8 or Gravity at the end of the day. They're in the playoffs, and none of that struggle would matter. It would only be about the future.
Right. Turmoil for them as well. We talked about Diggs changes. These guys changing back and forth as well at the 80 carry position, settling on Piglet in the end. And, you know, they said things were coming together, and it does seem to be that way.
Yep, Peter picking a very powerful team composition for Team Liquid as well.
That as well, yeah, to pick some bands.
Yeah, being able to get the Sejuani with the late pick, taking Heckram and Annie away from Team Dignitas with the first few picks. A very targeted strategy that both played off the strengths of Dignitas to make them weaker and also played to the strengths of Team Liquid.
Yep.
Now the question will be, does he have plans for both Gravity and Team 8 that are the same?
That's
'Cause
right.
That's the difficult thing when you're in here. So often these guys practice for one game per
Been a
day.
whole season of that.
Yeah, and now with a
Games of
tiebreaker
one.
at the very end, they have a short turnaround time to figure that out.
Well, I'm sure they will be watching, definitely doing everything that makes them feel comfortable for that game. And Team Liquid do find themselves to win here on the last day of the spring split for themselves. We still have 2 more games to go, plus some tiebreakers now that we are guaranteed.
From a hype perspective, wouldn't it be something if Gravity ends up losing to Team 8 and Gravity plays Team Liquid for the final playoff spot? The Curse Academy team against the old Curse team, Team Liquid versus Gravity.
That would probably happen.
It's still pretty hype.
Teammate's been looking pretty
regardless,
good.
even if it's teammate.
We've seen teammate kind of not falter back, but go back to that tank and whatnot style of play. Maybe not. Maybe they have to just go a little bit more crazy and let Cali roam free.
Yeah, and there's only 4 playoff possibilities for tiebreakers now. If COG loses to Team Impulse, we will get 2 tiebreakers. If COG wins, we will just get the 1 tiebreaker. But
And that's a,
those are all
that's a
really
toss-up
important
game.
games because we're now the 2 possible tiebreakers are fighting over the 6th place spot to get into the playoffs or the 2nd place spot to get a bye in the playoffs. 2 hugely important things.
Definitely going to put a lot of pressure on every game as we finish out the day. For more on Team Liquid's win, however, we're going to send it over to Kobe and Zyrene, who are at the telestrator.
Thank you, Riv. Yes, and congratulations to Team Liquid on their victory. Now, they did a great job of getting an early lead in this game, but really, there was a crucial team fight in the middle of this game where they really took over. And we want to take a closer look at that, so we're going to bring it up for you on the telestrator over here. All right, here we go.
So they're going to engage, dominate. He goes really hard, gets a really nice ultimate onto that front line, and then the team just kind of rolls out from there. We're going to roll this clip, and you're going to see the setup here. This is a 4-on-5 at the start, as soon as the TP comes through, because Phoenix is off on the bottom side. This fight just looks like it's going Dignitas's way. The TP looks like it's coming from a flank here. Piglet snatches up Xpecial as soon as he takes a whole lot of damage, and this is really big right here. Quas gets an ultimate onto 3 people. He actually hits a Zingy as well. Core JJ doesn't get hit by it, but here's the thing, is Gamsu comes in, and he's in this backline. His ultimate's going to come around him, but immediately, Dom's going to collapse on him. Piglet's going to collapse on him. He's going to throw Xpecial, who's also inside, at him, and this ball is going to try to chase down Quas as he retreats to come back into Gamsu as they focus onto him. This is only 4 members strong for Liquid. The big part here is that Dignitas has to close this distance to get back here. And while that happens, Phoenix has bought time on the minimap to come up from the river and flank them. So as soon as Phoenix gets into this fight, because they bought this time with the engage of Quas that ends up being a disengage, they are able to close that distance and then have him come in for the cleanup from there. So as we continue to roll out the clip, you're going to see all of that unfold. They immediately focus Gamsu, lock him up, and take him out. And then Phoenix is already in this fight. Locks up Core JJ, gets all the damage he needs to, and that's how they end up turning that fight around, was those key top laner positions.
Yeah, this is one of those longer team fights I was talking about earlier in the day on the analyst desk. And really, Gamsu actually getting to the team fight before Phoenix did there, but it was a good example of 1 man apart for each team, deep in the enemy team.
Yep.
And Quas on Hecarim, much more fed than Gamsu, able to survive much longer. All right, well, that was the big team fight. We are not ready for our interview yet, though. So, Zyrene.
What about Cho'Gath?
I think we've had enough of Cho'Gath so far. But as far as the tank meta goes, what is your tank of preference right now? Because obviously percentage health damage is available on a wide set of tanks now.
Yeah.
We have Sejuani, who has long been the queen for the past couple of patches. But Zac, Azingi has shown a real penchant for using Zac. And
He's got percent HP too.
It also has percentage health damage.
Right now, I'm a big proponent of Nautilus in the jungle for just 4 types of CC and peel for your AD carries, for your Fed members, for your mid laner, and also Sejuani. Just because team fights are absolute, like you see a team fight and you're like, that's the one I want to take. And Jat was talking about how that bola is kind of easy to miss. Just throw it at a whole group of people. You're going to lock up all of them. As long as there's just like 3 people there, you're like, yeah, that looks like a great place to throw the ultimate. Because the explosion radius is absolutely huge if you make contact with somebody.
Still Sejuani.
So those are my 2 of choice at the moment.
I also do really like Gragas, new up-and-comer. We've seen him a bit in the Challenger, also in EU a bit, percentage health damage. And I think that large disengages are going to be used a bit more pretty soon.
Nautilus has a percent HP increased shield, so I don't know.
All right, well, now we are ready for our interview with the winners, and we're going to send it over to Dash.
Thank you, Kobe. I'm joined by Xpecial and Dominate after a must-win game there. You got it. You're guaranteed to play a tiebreaker either against Teammate or Gravity for a spot in the playoffs. But I do want to touch on this game real quick before we move on to that. The first point being the early Annie takeaway from Kiwi Kid. Was that pretty essential to the comp that you guys wanted to come in with?
I'd say Annie's a champion that I've been playing a lot this week, and I played yesterday. Sure didn't go so well, but Annie's one of those champions where you just go in, get a good initiate off, and you can just win a team fight. And what happened was we had Sejuani as well, so it made it really easy for us to have team fights. Either Dom initiates or I initiate, and then we can just follow up on each other and just kind of get a wombo combo in and do great things.
And then the next thing I want to touch on is this really interesting roam that you guys had at level 3 down to the bot lane. We see that stereotypical lane swap. We're pushing in. Level 3, we're going to dive. But instead, you guys show up, Annie, Hecarim, Sejuani, and turn that. Well, how planned out was this? One, is this something you guys have been playing with, the timings of that, or was that kind of a happenstance situation?
I think that's something that we kind of picked up from playing TSM and C9. They do a lot of like the same thing that we do, which is if it's not diveable or if you're freezing, you can send multiple people back to try to defend. I guess the only difference here was since Klaus got a bunch of like the early camps, we let him get an early camp by himself, but then he also got like the small ones, which give 20 gold now. He was able to buy boots, so we sent him a little bit in front of us, which kind of baited them into thinking that he was alone. And then as soon as they engaged on him, Special and I were there to turn it, and we were able to get a first blood there and burn a lot of flashes.
Right, that definitely sets you guys up for the game. Now, looking at this game as a whole, you came in knowing it was a must-win. So what was the mindset and preparation like for this game, knowing that this is just to get your opportunity to make it to the playoffs?
This season has been really frustrating for us. We came in with really high hopes, and we haven't been doing so well, and it just looks like the pieces are falling into place, and we're running out of time as well. So yesterday's our loss was really bad for us because since both Teammate and Gravity lost yesterday as well, we were in a situation where if we had won, we'd be in the playoffs, 100% guaranteed. But since we lost, it put us into a do-or-die situation. And it was frustrating for us, but at the same time, it was again, do or die. So we have to just win. And honestly, if we can't win against these teams, we don't deserve to be in playoffs. So it was a must-win, but at the same time, if we don't win, then things aren't going the way we planned.
So it refocused you a bit. Now going into today, all season long, you're preparing for one game each day, one team. You had to prepare for 3 teams because you don't even know which of the 2 teams that you're going to be playing later in the day. So Dom, with understanding that you've done some of that preparation throughout the week, but one night crunch time, there's 3 teams you have to play for. What was that preparation like? What are the key things that you guys look to break down so that you have them set in stone going into the next day?
We put most of our preparation on the Dignitas game because obviously if we don't win that one, the next ones don't matter. And what we have to our advantage here is we get to see these teams play in the next game right now. So we'll be watching that game intently and kind of finalizing our prep based off that. We did preliminary prep, just noticing what they play. For Gravity, they play like 80 different champions, so it's kind of difficult to like have a solid prep down for that. But we know how these teams play, and it's really just about playing the comps that we've practiced because we believe that they're strong, and just getting a good draft. If we get a good draft and we play the comps that we practice, I'm fairly confident that we should be able to do well as a team.
All right, now looking at that matchup, you guys are going to have the opportunity, as you stated, to watch it. Who are you looking at to come out of that matchup as the winner, just prediction-wise from the 2 of you?
It's hard to say. I mean, they've both been really wild cards. Nobody expected them to come out strong, and they're actually looking pretty good both. And I think Teammate would come out ahead, but I want Gravity to win so we don't have to beat them to get into playoffs.
There you go.
I think Gravity's gonna win. I just think Gravity's such like a weird team that it's hard to like really predict or like get practice against. Because for example, like you play against all the same teams that are playing the Lissandra, Annie, and all these standard mid laners, and then you play against Gravity and it's like Rumble mid, Fizz mid, Urgot mid, just like random champions. Like they might go Taric mid next game, like you never know. So it's just kind of an awkward team, and I think that throws a lot of their opposing teams off guard because they're not able to really predict what's going to happen in the game. You don't really have that formula for, he's going to power spike at this point. Whereas like Urgot, maybe he power spikes in the mid game as soon as he gets his Mirror Mana, but before that he seems kind of strong. So you don't really know when you have your opportunities to fight. Whereas versus teams like Team 8, they're a little bit weird too, but you have more of an idea of what opportunities you have. I mean, Oriana's been more standard champion. We've seen her for like years in LCS and competitive level play. So I think it's just easier to play against Team 8. So I hope Gravity wins, and I also think they'll win because I think they've been playing pretty strong lately.
All right, just a little bit of a non sequitur. We heard Kobe and Zyrene talking about it there as we were getting set up for the interview. Tank meta, who are you looking at? The both of you, so Dom probably focusing in on the jungle. Which tank do you think, aside from Sejuani, who's very clearly at the top of the tables, is works well being that high health, tanky front line, and especially I want your opinion as well on this.
I think Sejuani, Zach, Nunu are all really solid champions. They've just probably been the most solid tanks all around. So then the buff to the tank meta kind of just made them a little bit better. And since they're already like the highest priority out of the tanks, it just gives them that extra edge that they needed to be a competitive pick. And then I also think Nautilus has a lot of potential. I mean, I saw him a little bit in Korea. Like, I played him a couple times, and it looks fairly decent. They also buff Nautilus a lot with the Emacs and stuff like that. So I think that Nautilus might be like another pick that you see maybe being flexed between jungle and support. So I think that there's like some potential from new junglers. I mean, you got Gragas in there too, but I'd say probably Sejuani, Nunu, and Zach are the top ones.
Right, and the tanks are even falling, as you mentioned, down to the support with Nautilus support and things like that. We saw Leona come out. So, as a support player, are you happy to see it trend that way and be like, do you enjoy being a tanky frontliner, or are you looking for that fun stuff like Annie?
Honestly, I think support has been really balanced in this past season. We see pretty much every single support being played. You see Annie, you see Lulu, you see those kind of AP storage supports. You still see Nami once in a while. You still see tank supports, and so it's really what your team comp needs and what your team needs and what you want to play. So I'm really happy with how things are, and basically more champions means supports need to have better champion pools and need to be able to play every champion at a decent level. And I like that. It's fun to play, Nautilus one game and then have to switch to Annie and then maybe go to Leona. There's very different playstyles.
Yeah, well, this season itself has not disappointed in terms of unique champion picks. Well, gentlemen, I want to congratulate you again on that win. I know you've got some prep to do, and you got to get comfy to watch this next game that's coming up. So, again, congratulations. We still have more league coming your way. When we come back, Gravity will take on Team 8 in a battle for a playoff spot, while the loser will face these guys in a tiebreaker later in the day. Stay with us.
We have to play tiebreaker. That's it.
And we don't go to Ramen Festival.
Oh yeah, if we win, we don't get a ramen festival.
No!
Oh my god.
Wait, what's Ramen Festival?
It's a festival with ramen.
Baiting Gamsu,
That's
or
a bait!
Quas rather, into this one. Perfectly done. Quas flies through. Initiation coming from Dignitas could be better. Quas right into the middle of the fight. Fears 4, and the back line's getting hit up.
We should split one bot. Okay.
Oh, you got it. Go.
Careful.
We're fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting. I'm just taking turn. I'm taking turn.
Shiberu, come, protect me.
Yeah. We can take turn on the next wave.
Great Inushi. Goes.
There he
no
goes.
Hecarim.
That's a
Hecarim's gotta
nice
charge his
left
TP.
bounce. The party's on. Frozen Tomb goes out, dealing a lot of AoE damage to Dignitas. It's going to be Team Liquid taking down Team Dignitas.